Are we recording? Hello, my name is Teresita Blanco, the Artsy, and I'm going to read to you La Casa, written by me. We're in chapter 6, Silver Eye. A week passed uneventfully. Irina had seen the strange white shade a couple of times. For some reason, it made an appearance a lot in her room. Since she believed in Santeria and all that type of and about ghosts, she naturally assumed that it was a ghost of Horacio. She did an exorcism using other fellow using a fish and some grasses. When she was done, she placed the spell components in a bag and she left it in a street that had 4 corners. When she came to the corner, she noted other suspicious looking bags. She turned around and tried a different corner a couple of blocks away. In one passed through the street while the bags were there. The bag locked, vibes or ghosts were picked up by another. A Santeria exorcism did not get rid of the problem, rather it relocated it to another house. A more permanent solution could be done, but she would have to make a cake, and the family was a bit short of cash after the birthday party. Irina returned home to find Lucero in her rocking chair. It was around 5 a.m. in the morning, and Lucero was a bit of an early bird. Smiling benevolently, Irina asked, "Are you ready for school?" "We will see when we get there," said Lucero, petting her monkey plush thoughtlessly. Master Lucero's chagrin, all her birthday presents had been school-related. She had gotten a backpack, the writing utensils, linen, blank papers, pencils, erasers, and crayons. The backpack was purple, and it had a chair bearer for decoration. The girl also had a small blue purse which was to house her food. After drinking her milk and barely touching her eggs, Lucero was ready for school. Horacio dreaded having to finally go to school with his sister. For some reason, he could not shake the feeling that the girl was going to have a major tantrum. She had been particularly violent the day before during their combat training. She had even drawn some blood when she scratched him with her razor-sharp nails. The combat training was put on hold by the mother, Angelica. Since she was tired of seeing Lucero fighting with her brother all the time, she smacked their heads together before saying, "Now get along. If you fight with each other again, I will do the same thing." Instantly feeling guilty, Angelica then went outside to smoke in the garden. After calming down a bit, she said, "Horacio, if your sister hits you, you have my permission to hit her back, but only hit her as hard as she hits you." "I don't wanna," said Horacio. "But you have my permission," said Angelica. Lucero was pensing all the while. Eventually, she extended her hand to her brother and she said, "Let's not fight ever again." Horacio then said, "I still need a way of getting stronger." "You should ask the weirdo from Death Note to give you some fighting tips. I heard he was a karate man," suggested Lucero. "I guess," stuttered Horacio. Horacio resolved to ask the fellow after returning from school, and depending on how the day went. Since Eduardo had the night shift, he was the one who took Lucero and Horacio to school. Angelica took her bag and she left for her consultation. She was a bit reluctant to see one of her patients today. It was everything that her patient ever told Angelica was just awful. Just recently, she had told Angelica that she was very lucky. That she felt very lucky. The patient felt lucky because her daughter was now working as a prostitute. As such, the patient no longer needed to worry about money anymore. Prostitution was technically illegal, but the cops barely bothered to deal with that type of crime, since it contributed to the tourist money that arrived in Cuba. When she arrived to the consultation, Angelica was relieved to hear that her patient had dropped dead. How she died? Well, during one of the blackouts, she had suffered a fainting fit. When the doctor came to check up on her, she was shocked to know that she had no pulse. The patient had always prided herself on having excellent health, but the no pulse thing didn't inspire much confidence. The patient was indeed alive, and after checking the pulse on her wrist, it yielded results. Still, the fact that the stethoscope had not detected any sound did not bode well. In the end, it was discovered that the patient had a tumor in her chest. She was dead within 2 days. As for the patient's daughter, she moved to the Orient with her cousin. Back at home, Irina was busying herself with the house chores. The house would always be completely open and doors, windows, and all. It was then when the cleaning started, with the sweeping and the mopping. This was followed by the polishing of the silverware. From the old house, Irina had taken her bed some silver goblets that had been passed down. The children were currently using them to eat gelatin. It gave the gelatin a faint metallic taste. If she remembered, she would take a bath. If Angelica was taking track of this bathing product, Irina could easily go a week without showering. The walk to the school was peaceful enough. The father and children passed by a row of houses facing a bunch of large pine trees. Under bars, they had a lot of caterpillars. The crown of the tree was so thick that barely any light entered. It almost seemed like nighttime. Eduardo heard a bit of panting. Turning around, he noticed a stray staring at him, like a stray dog. Eduardo neither disliked nor hated dogs. Still, he thought that the stray problem was getting out of hand. Even with the homeless people occasionally eating a couple of dogs, there was still a large stray population. When Eduardo saw the dog, his heart started racing. The adrenaline made the dog growl and start barking. Since Eduardo never had much dealing with dogs, he did not know that he had to maintain his scent in order to avoid getting attacked. Lucero, dressed in a little uniform, said to her father, "Carry me." Eduardo did as she asked. As for Horacio, he clung near his father. He felt that the dog was sizing him up and not for clothing. The uniform worn by Horacio and Lucero were pretty similar. Lucero had a red skirt, and a white button-up shirt. The skirt was held up by red suspenders that crossed her back like an X. And since Lucero was starting school, she did not sport a kerchief around her neck. Since Horacio was in the lower tier of the grade, his kerchief was blue. Those in higher grades were red. The only difference in uniforms came in the form of shoes and hair ornaments of the girls. As with everything in the world, the boys were not allowed to wear caps. The primary school was called Antonio Maceo. It was close to the Provincial Museum of History. Just a couple of blocks over was the Cathedral of San Rosendo. Antonio Maceo was an important guerrilla leader who helped free Cubans from Spain. Due to his skin color, he was known as the Bronze Titan. He died in action after José Martí talked him into fighting the Spaniards a second time. Most of the schools in Cuba were named after war heroes who fought the Spanish crown. The school named after Maceo had a large iron bar fence. All the classrooms faced a large concrete garden. At the furthest end of the school, there was a couple of large shaded trees, as is to be expected, and there was no air conditioning. The windows were all open and they had bars. This gave the ochre sapphire school a nice breeze and light feel to it. As soon as the children entered within, the door was locked behind them. Eduardo kissed both his children on the cheek as is the Cuban fashion. He then said to both of them, "I will be leaving now. Have fun on your first day of school." Then turning to Lucero, he said, "And you behave yourself, you hear?" Eduardo took a couple of steps, but he felt a heavy burden on his feet. Horacio, who was not too keen on seeing his sister's tantrum, went to the assembly line of his classroom to be near the ever-watchful eye of his teacher. He hoped that the commotion might keep him out of sight of his arch-nemesis. Lucero crying said, "Dad, don't leave me here." Pulling at her arms a little, Eduardo said firmly, "Let go, Lucero." "No, Papi, no, take me home. I don't want to be here," said Lucero. The grade school stood and started laughing, and some of the older kids lingered a bit to see all the commotion. After a 10-minute fit, Eduardo said to his daughter, "Fine, I will stay with you a bit to show you that it's not a big deal. Okay?" Still crying, Lucero said, "Okay." Lucero wasn't truly sad or scared. She just hated being taken out of her home. She hoped against hope that by being a bit louder she could get her way, as it had occurred many times. Still, school seemed like a different matter, like something serious, like whenever she had to go to the hospital. While Lucero stood in line with her father, some of the children made silly comments, which she stoically ignored. Just as she was good at fake crying, she was also adept at tuning out the world around her. She did not respond, rather she stared back blankly, with the look of someone who was thinking of killing you. It wasn't her fault that she had such a kill face. Her serious look just had a way of making people feel uncomfortable. Depending on people's mood, they interpreted Lucero's poker face in a variety of ways. Some imagined that she was sad, others angry, while many thought she looked bored or serious. As for her father, another thought Lucero was looking rather angry. Before all the classes began, the children had to sing the national anthem. They also had to swear to be just like El Che. El Che needs no introduction. Most of the outside world is familiar with the myth of the dude. The man was a murderous bastard who was killed by Fidel Castro for stealing the spotlight. Oh wait, the guy he had killed was Camilo Cienfuegos. Same difference. Fidel Castro was never a man who liked sharing with his fellow man. And even when he demanded that everyone else share his wealth with him. He wanted all the focus to be on him, so much that he didn't even have a first lady. Everything in Cuba just boils down to charisma. You do not get far in life without being charismatic. Eduardo was charismatic, and so he got away with many things that would have landed other worms in jail. This was part of the reason why the director did not question why Eduardo was there standing behind his daughter. After Eduardo escorted Lucero to his classroom, he took his leave. Lucero watching go, none to please. The teacher was feeling magnanimous, so she allowed a lot more liberties to the children that day. Normally she would just box the ear of any brat that got out of line. Now instead she slapped them in the back of the head. One girl in front had gotten her ear pulled so many times that it had grown significantly larger than the other. Since Lucero was the tallest girl in the group, she sat on the back. Seating was done based on height. Lucero sat with another girl who was even taller. She had repeated grade school, if you can believe it. There was no child left behind nonsense in Cuba. If you didn't pass the exam, you never moved on to the next grade. It was as simple as that. Getting past grade school involved learning how to read and write cursive. Lucero didn't know how to read but not how to write. The first cursive lesson involved practicing writing your name. Lucero frowned when she saw her name written for her on a card. It was the first time she had seen her last name and her mother's maiden name. In Cuba, people used two last names. The mother also kept her family name. The days rolled rather slowly. When Lucero looked outside, she saw the older kids were playing sports. One of the baseballs flew through the window and it struck her in the belly. The kid who was Horacio's nemesis came to pick up the ball. He rubbed Lucero's belly and he said, "See, you're fine." Lucero did not respond. She only narrowed her eyes at him for a second before turning to look at her name. While the other girls were practicing cursive, Lucero had not done any work. Horacio's nemesis was called Giovanni. He had been born on the same day as Horacio, and for the last 2 years, Angelica had been celebrating Giovanni's birthday along with Horacio. When Giovanni saw Lucero glaring at him, a shiver ran down his spine. He moved away from her. He had heard from his grandmother that Lucero had very angry saints. Anyone who did her harm always got a broken leg. Giovanni wondered if an accidental strike was enough of a reason for the eventuality of his injury. To avoid this thing, Giovanni decided to be a little more careful. Alright, we'll continue later.